TEP production. Giving out instruction. I just keep it intact, this is a fact, right and exact, I won't step back. Admiration is the feeling that inspires your brain to make you gain self-knowledge, not go insane. I'm Satan's antagonist, acknowledge what I speak. I cannot be duplicated cause I'm born unique. Brother Kareem told me if I want it, I gotta take it. Kareem told me if we need it, we gotta make it. Nasir just said stand up and be a man. You're planning to fail if you fail to plan. Keep your circle tight, know your plight, fight with all your might. Study hard, stay in shape and everything will be alright.
This beat is slapping, before I make it happen I just wanna ask, may I rise higher with fire, made brighter than May sharp lines, may climb and rhyme and may timing like sirens, may my thoughts may spray as I sway, may play with the day, may each bar may spark from the dark, may making the arc, may I shift, may gifted with riffs, may lifted no myths, may move clean, smooth in between, may carving out the scene, may words guide, mind glide as the tide, may ride on the inside, may minds free, may deep in the key, may shape in the sea, may I shine, may prime in my rhyme, may throw in the sign, may break norms, may storms in the red form, may lightning is born.
Let's go.
I don't know how I got here. I just know I'm never going back. Just when I thought things were already crazy, it gets worse.
I'm back.
Quan?
Sapphire struggles to deal with her husband's alleged betrayal and coming to terms with Quan being alive after thinking he was deceased. Devante tries to keep a level head while dealing with family issues and unexpected disloyalty. Memories of Dre enters Devante's life in a way that he would have never imagined.
Fire Part 2, the finale.
Get your copy of Fire. It's definitely a must-read. If you enjoy hood books, this one is it. Just like the title of the book, it's officially Fire. Get it on Amazon, paperback or Kindle.
Peace. This is the Enemy's Public. I am Bro.Nasir. Before we get started, before I introduce my brother, I just want to say, get your copy of Fire Book 2, the finale, on paperback or Kindle. Angela King James, get your copy of Fire Book 2, the finale. Go to books in Amazon. Angela King James, get yourself a copy of Fire Book 2, the finale. But if you're going to get this book, you should have this one also. Get yourself a copy of the original book by Angela King James called Fire. Get yourself a copy of both books. Very good reading. I guarantee you will enjoy it. I guarantee it. And it's a money back guarantee. You will like this book. Now, without further ado, without hesitation, I'd like to introduce my brother T. Riggles. I appreciate you coming through, brother, and doing this presentation this evening. Appreciate it, brother. Give you a round of applause. Yes, sir, brother. How you doing this evening?
Hey, man. Thank you, Brother Nasir. I'm doing really good. I've been excited to present this as my first presentation to everyone. And I thank you for letting me do this.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you doing this, brother. And before we get started, we're going to play a few musical selections to allow people to come in. And we're going to get busy with this presentation. The Vatican, Myths and Truths. You know, I don't know how much truce, but you know, but we're gonna let you do your thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We're gonna let you do. You know,
we're gonna expose some of this truth today for sure.
yes, sir. We need, brother. We need the truth. The truth will set you free, brother. This right here, your mind. You know what I'm saying? To set you free, brother. So we're gonna get to that. As soon as we hear a few music selections, allow people to come in, we're gonna get to it, brother. And then we're gonna start off with "Justice Is a Lie," because that's just my sentiment. Justice is a lie by Mayday.
It ain't about the freedom, it ain't about the light. It's the oil
I'm
and the
not
soil
gonna
and
start
the
a war,
power
I'm
in
gonna
the
stop
fight.
wars.
Liberty is a ghost, justice is a lie. They sell us a flag while the innocent die.
We will stop racing to topple foreign
While the
you
innocent
understand?
die.
Foreign regimes.
They sell us a flag while the innocent die. They painting targets on a map while we sleep in the dark. Another strike on Tehran to ignite the first spark. 40 years of the hustle, 40 years of the game. One man pulling the wires, BB is the name. He whispered in the ears of the kings in the west. Fabricated files for the ultimate test. Claiming nukes in the basement, a lie told so well. To drag a whole nation through the gates of a hell. From the 80s to now, the script never changed. Just the faces in the office while the blood is arranged. A master of leverage, a ghost in the hall, watching empires crumble while he stands tall. It ain't about the freedom, it ain't about the light. It's the oil in the soil and the power in the fight. Liberty is a ghost, justice is a lie. They sell us a flag while the innocent die.
When we are finished, take over your government.
Trump made
They sell us a
regime
flag
change.
while the innocent die. They came the orange man promising a brand new day. Said he'd bring the boys home, blow the smoke all away. No more endless crusades, no more desert graves. But the lobby's got a grip on the way he behaves. He talked about peace while he tightened the noose, letting the dogs of a regional conflict get loose, breaking the deals that were keeping the peace, ensuring the cycle would never quite cease. They claim it's for safety, they claim it's for God, but the boots on the ground find the logic is flawed. Just a pawn on a board for a grander design, crossing every single humanitarian line. It ain't about the freedom, it ain't about the light. It's the oil in the soil and the power in the fight. Liberty is a ghost, justice is a lie. They sell us a flag while the innocent die.
But it's not America's war, it's Israel's war.
And you call it patriotism to follow the trend, to support a destruction you can't comprehend. Blind loyalty is a shackle, a mental decay, especially for my people who were traded for pay. How you gonna march for a war in the sand when you're still catching hell in your own native land? Black skin in a uniform, dying for the greed of the same architects who ignore what we need. That ain't love for the country, that's just being the fool, being the hammer for a billionaire's tool. Resource extraction, the heart of the plan. They don't care about the women or the children in Iran. They want the minerals, the crude, and the strategic ground. Why the media silence is the only real sound. They mock the Constitution, they spit on the brave, turning every democracy into a grave. Wake up from the fever, look past the screen, see the gears of the corporate military machine. Truth is the casualty buried in the sand by the liars and the puppets who were running the land. Ain't about the freedom, it ain't about the light. It's the oil in the soil and the power in the fight. Liberty is a ghost, justice is a lie. They sell us a flag while the innocent die.
Now we're gonna get into mayhem and Satan's antagonist buttons on a man. I know this is the joint you said you like, brother. We're gonna get into that next.
This circle is small but solid. Every person in it has earned their place.
Not for kids. Listen, I was raised as a boy by a grown man. Learned early, you don't joke on a closed hand. Unc said, son, every smile ain't a friend. Some laughs led the lines, you can't bend back again. Code taught, don't play or be played with. If you ain't ready for the smoke, don't say it where I'm from. You press the wrong nerve, that's war. Stand on words or don't speak, that's law. You online, typing tough in the chat box. In real life, you a foe from a small shock. You call it trolling, like that make it all right. Till a man feel tried and he come for your whole life. We don't push buttons, all men we respect. We talk straight, or we step, that's correct. If you ain't ready for the weight when it land, keep my name off your lips, be a boy, I'm a man. I'm just trolling. That's a weak man's prayer. Say it to my face, you won't dare. I was raised on the code. Don't play there. Don't play with a man that don't play there. I was just joking. You crossed that line. Buttons on the man. You wasting time. Men don't test men like some cheap dare. My man got a code. Can we keep that? Look, a woman push buttons. She testing my core. My endurance, my patience, what I'm built for. She might poke, she might press, cause she feel me. Still my queen, I protect her if it kill me. Her words cut, I breathe, keep composure. She deserves grace, even when it's all over. She got crown energy, even in a rage. She can hit my prime, still she never leave the stage. But you a grown boy, chatting like a child, smirking on the screen, trying to get a man riled. Then you hide behind memes and a fake laugh. I was just playing. Bro, that ain't mancraft. You ain't built for the echo of what you say. You ain't ready for the price that a man pays. So when you speak, better mean every line. If you can't stand in that fire, stay offline. I was just trolling. That's a weak man's prayer. Say it to my face, you won't dare. I was raised on a code. Don't play there. Don't play with a man that don't play there. I was just joking. You crossed that line. Buttons on the man, you wasting time. Men don't test men like some cheap dare. A man got a code, and we keep that. I don't push buttons, I give warnings. I don't start storms, I bring warnings. I was taught, be straight, never sneak war. If I'm at your door, you knew what it's for, so keep always trolling. Out your grown mouth, or deal with the truth that you spoke about. I was just trolling. That's a weak man's prayer. Say it to my face, you won't dare. I was raised on a code. Don't play there. Don't play with a man that don't play there. I was just joking. You crossed that line. Buttons on the man, you wasting time. Men don't test men like some cheap dare. A man got a code, and we keep that.
A man with no friends or a small circle. That's a man you don't mess with. He's learned the hard way that loyalty is rare.
Now we're going to go to Dre Cobb's Indian Trails, the Comrade Dre Cobb's. Then we're going to get into it.
Indian trails to the freeways. We make the hustle look easy. Trapping furs all season. The way we push our line. Yeah, we are still the people from those times. Yeah, through it all we continue to shine. Cause Indian trails make freeways over time. Yeah. Indian trails make freeways over time.
I feel the ancestors, they still with us. They give us the fight when we in the field with it. Blood on the foundation, we build with it. The echoes of the past shapes the mold. From the cotton to the concrete, the story's been told. But let the real American Indian story unfold. Paint pictures with the flames, let it burn in your soul. We carved from the land, they tried to erase us with one wave of the hand, but still we stand. How you doing the treaty? That ain't your man, the game was planned. They drew them lines, and on them trails they see the world through an Indian's eyes. They say the colonizer came and the Indian died. But I told you we still here. It's time to instill fear for thinking they can come near. Our aborigine, our family legacies are deep in our memories. Cherokee, Chickasaw, and Choctaw. Fucking with the chiefs and get you knocked off. The warrior spirit still inside. Granny strength with granddaddy's pride. And them stories that was left behind. This is my path, and I'ma finish this trail in due time. Ain't nothing fucking with my bloodline. We shine. It's part of my design.
Indian trails to the freeways. We make the hustle look easy. Trapping furs all season. The way we push our line. Yeah. We are still the people from those times. Yeah. Through it all we continue to shine. Cause Indian trails make freeways over time. Yeah. Indian tribes made freeways.
Heavy is the head that wears the feather crown. We built it from the ground, from Cahokia to the Etowah Mounds. They know what they found. The copper-colored Indians with a knowledge profound. With them carvings and them paintings that was left all around. Riding on the Indian trails, yeah, holding it down. Going back to what my family name on the town. Blood in the soil, roots deep in the ground. We honor those who came before us now.
I'll die an Indian, and that's it. I don't care what my complexion is. It doesn't matter. My kids are Indian, and I'm Indian.
Oh yeah, they see us shining now. Indian tribes made freeways all the time.
You know, it's a travesty, my brother T. Riggles, that song we just was listening to don't have thousands of views on it, brother. That is so hot. That Drake House that I just played, bro. That is hot. I don't understand how they don't got thousands and tens of thousands of views, bro. Everything about that song is just resonant. It resonates, bro. Everything about it, bro. The sound, the wordplay that Drake Hobbs using and the singing on the hook, everything about that is just dope. That makes no sense, bro, for it to have that little bit of views on that hot song, bro. But without further ado, brother, if you're ready, let's get into the Vatican myths and truths. Let's get into that, brother.
Yes, sir. All right, I can't really hear you, and it just chopped up right there, but I'm gonna share my screen with you. Let me click that button. I'm on the screen, brother Nasir.
You're about to be on in a second, brother.
Okay.
Here we go. You want to cam up and do this, brother? Let the people see your face.
Let's see. Let's see if that can be possible. Let's see.
No, I said you cam up, cam up.
All right, let's see what happens when that.
No, you're not
All
sharing.
right.
You got to go back to where you was. I don't know what you hit, but you hit something. You probably got. There you go.
Yeah.
We good now.
Because right now I can't even look at. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
All right, guys. All right, welcome to my first presentation here. You know, and thanks, big ups to Brother Nasir for allowing me to do this. Okay, so the Vatican. Now let's take a look, guys. Right at the Vatican. If we look at the Vatican, if you've seen the movie Harry Potter, right? Let's look at the Vatican as Hogwarts, right? Hogwarts, when they are broken down, Hogwarts now, guys, is breaking down into 4 sections, just like the Vatican is broken down into 4 sections, right? So section number 1 for the Vatican would be the Pope, the clergy, right? Right. That's one section of it. The second section would be the Black Pope. This is the one that stays behind the scenes and does all the dirty work. It's more like the Jesuit type of group here. The third group would be the Swiss Guard, right? To protect the area and the city. No one invades the Vatican, right? And the fourth section would be the gray pope, y'all. All right. Now, the gray pope is said, this is, people might say this is a conspiracy, but I look at this as facts here, right? Because the gray pope, ladies and gentlemen, is this hidden hand, this Orsini family that governs, tells all the rest of the sections what needs to be done. Now, now, when we mention the Catholic religion, it's very important that we put Roman in front of this thing here. It's very important. And the first Roman bishop, right, was St. Peter's. This is just the depiction of him here, right? That, let's see, by the 4th century, after Emperor Constantine legalizes Christianity, the Bishop of Rome became a major political and religious figure. By the 8th century, at the 8th and 9th century, the papacy now was sovereign power in Europe. This is before the Spanish Inquisition took over. Rome predates all of this by 1400 years. All this means, guys, is that the pagan, the barbarian, set up a demonic stronghold in Europe. Because look, today we're not going to go into all of the torture practices that they specialized in back in the day, right? But we should never forget, because guys, this is the intro. We should never forget that the Pope is called the Godfather of the world, or Europe, and everyone must kiss the ring. Now, the philosophy of the Vatican, stated by Jordan Maxwell back in the days, right? The philosophy was, and it states, since God, Jesus, isn't present in the world, I will stand as the regent until God, where we at? Until God returns. Now, when I double checked all of that, they changed the word regent into the word vicar. So instead of saying like regent, they say now we are the vicar of Christ. And all vicar means is being a representative, right? And so the main reason why people say the Vatican rules the world, the main reason here, oh, sorry, press the wrong button, right? The main reason why people say that the Vatican rules the world, because the Pope crowns emperors, excommunicates kings, arbitrates wars, controls vast amount of territories, and claims universal spiritual jurisdiction all over Europe. Now, to me, doesn't that all of those attributes mentioned give off Godfather, ruler of Europe? I truly think so. Like, lastly, for the intro, I want you to know that, you know, I asked the question. I said, has there ever been any Black popes in the whole history, right? And so I, double checking with AI, and it's funny that the AI gave me 3. Okay, it gave me 3 popes, and check this out, y'all. This is wild, right? Now, all of these 3 popes come from Northern Africa. Okay, so look, I want you to know what's going on here, because Northern Africa, but nothing from the southern regions. And this brings me up to this picture here of the map of ancient Egypt from back in the day, right? So you have the the Upper Egypt and you have Lower Egypt. So we have to look at this, you know, when people was talking, mentioning about the history, is that the Upper Egypt was more of the brothers, and the Lower Egypt would be more Arab in the world until Upper Egypt conquered everything. So look, and this is funny. So the first Pope here, right? Since there's any no depictions of it, right? So here's the first one. Let me get his name. Right, this guy's name here is Pope Vicar. This doesn't sound like Pope Vicar, right? It doesn't sound brotherish to me, but okay, right? The second one, this one here is Saint Milititus. Right, and this is, and the year for this one is 311. The first one is for 189. Okay, look, this is right, and the third is Pope.
Wow.
Yeah, look, this is crazy. Gelasius in 492.
My brother.
Yes.
This is on Northern Africa, huh?
This is Northern Africa. So now I learned something watching IShowSpeed's tour of Africa, right? And during that tour, the southern regions of Africa told IShowSpeed, hey, be careful of going into these Northern African lands because they're not going to be so hospitable like we are in a way.
Okay.
And so when IShowSpeed went up to the Northern African, right, he had a moment at a soccer game. You know, he's going there just to represent, what was it, Algeria? It was somewhere up there in the northern lands. And as he was walking on the soccer pitch, they started throwing water bottles at IShowSpeed.
I heard about that.
Right. And that let me know, oh, so this is what the southern regions of Africans were talking about, you know, having this more of an Arab presence.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay.
And so, long story short, where am I at here? So, long story short, Bro.Nasir, you know, before we begin and go all the way in, I just want everyone to know that Rome, right, when we speak about this Vatican, Rome fell, kings fell, empires fell, nations rose and collapsed, but the Vatican is still here. This demonic stronghold, Bro.Nasir, has lasted through all the madness, and I'll prove and show all of you why I call this a demonic stronghold, the spiritual suppression on humanity and all of Europe. All right, so that's the intro, right? That was just the intro. So here, what I did, I started from, let's say, I took 1950 to present time to kind of show, okay, I want to kind of keep it in our somewhat timeline here, right? So, but in this map, what you're looking at here, right? This map you're looking at is from, it's like a 1700 map, one of the 13 colonies, right? And here in Boston, Massachusetts, they said this in the 1700s. Look, check this out. They passed a law, right? During the colony era, right? A law was passed that stated to Jesuits and Popish priests, requiring all Roman Catholic clergy, right, to leave the colony as soon as possible, right? And if you don't leave the colony, right, you will receive a life imprisonment or execution upon return. I found that very, very strange that a law was passed in the 1700s banding let's say, banding Catholicism in the area. So it's almost like, what did they know about all of these clergymen here, that they call Roman Catholics? And basically, this forced the Catholics to practice their religion secretly until 80 years later, 1780. Now, so when we'll stay in Massachusetts, guys, right? In Boston, to be exact, Maybach spot, right? And this, what you're looking at, this is the Cathedral of the Holy Cross, located in Boston. Pretty nice building. Now, it was built in, what was that, 1866, and it served the seat to the Archbishop of Boston. They also have, right kind of down the street, there's the Pastoral Center where all the administrative things take place. But let's take a look here, guys, right, at the coat of arms, which is very important here, right? Because the coat of arms here, the Archdiocese of Boston, the coat of arms, what you're looking at here, ladies and gentlemen, is a sigil. You know how like there's the peace sign, right? And the peace sign is supposed to show the Y shape, representing the mother goddess, right? And they flipped it upside down to give the opposite of peace, right? Which is war. Now, what you're looking at is a sigil here, right? Okay, now, someone knows how to invoke energies to benefit the establishment. Okay, so what you're looking at here, the water, this is what they call it. The water is called Barry Wavy, right? It represents like the Atlantic Ocean and how they traveled over to the new lands, right? But what this really represents here, guys, right, is energy, water, current, right? That someone wants to control this energetic flow. All right. Now, you see these three bubbles and these three hills above the water. Now, what they're trying to say, this represents this place here that's in Boston. I guess they call it the Tri-Mound. This is just representing this area, trying to give homage. But I want you to look at something that when I was looking at this archdiocese symbol. Now, do you see this here? You see this shape here, Brother Nasir?
Yes, sir. I see it.
Okay, so that is a shape of a shell. Okay, now what I did was, right, it's actually, I said, okay, what ancient symbol is this? They call this the escallop shell. Now, since this is a sigil, right, and we're dealing with Hogwarts-like people here that know ancient stuff that the brothers probably were using, and now they are using it, right, for their benefit. Like someone is trying to control that energetic current field. So who energies with this shell here are they trying to invoke? And I'll show you here. This is the escallop shell. Yemiya, right? One of the mother goddesses of the waters. Do you see the shell in her hand? So they're trying to manipulate these energies, her energies, right, to benefit them. You see the shell. This is Yemiya, right? You see the shell in the hand. You see the water, right? Right, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, where else have we seen this shell kind of symbol? Okay, right? This this is just going a little deep now, right? Everyone now is, you know what this shale gas did. You know what this is a picture of another shale that they're trying to take the knowledge, right, and apply it to her. Now, where have you seen this shale? Right here.
Yes, sir.
Now, look, crazy story, right? Real quick, crazy story, right? Shell began in London, import business run by a person named, what was his name? Marcus Samuel in the 1800s. This is this guy, right? And before he got into the oil gas business, he was selling in a store. Look, you can't make this up. Look, he was selling in a store antiques and seashells. Right? That now he's now started. Yes.
If you go back to that picture of that shell, if you look at it based on its color, it's also representative of the sun.
Yeah.
The shell.
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And then now you have this cross here, right? Which you can also look at as a plus sign.
Yes, sir.
Right. And they also have the what is that? The New Orleans Saints thing
Yes,
here,
sir.
letting you know that we have Freemasonry as part of this. And at the top part, as you can see here, the top part is just letting you know who's running this thing here. That's almost looks like the Pope's hat in a way, or the crown.
Sure does. Yes, sir. Indeed.
Right. And so through this sigil, that sigils can be very powerful now. Like symbols can be very powerful. And so someone is invoking some of these energies, right? And using ancient knowledge and all of that to power this establishment and their cause, right? So now what I did, like I said, I started from 1950. I didn't want to go too deep with them gas prices way up, and it's higher now. I wanted to go, I started from 1950, right? From the Holy Cross. And who comes out of this Holy Cross here? Right, out of this archdiocese. Now, there is and as I said, this is a demonic stronghold. Okay, it's posing as a light, the light, but at its core, okay, it's really, really dark as hell. Okay, as we're going to see as I keep with this presentation, right? Now, here is the first guy, right, that comes out of this stronghold here. And who you're looking at on the screen here is, I guess, one of the, what'd you say? I don't even want to call him father, right? Here's one of the priests by the name of Gerald Fitzgerald. Now, let me make sure I'm still on the same page here, guys. All right. So this is the shining somewhat of, look, and I'm going to say somewhat of the shining light that comes out of a dark place here. So to give you some background on this priest here, he's born in 1984 in Massachusetts, graduates high school in 1912, right? Becomes the president of his class and an editor school paper. Now this is a thing that I saw, like a pattern that I see with a lot of these Catholic priests. They're always involved in writing, like they're always editors of something, right? So these two roles show that he was a leader and a writer before he was a priesthood. Enters Boston College in 1912, which is a Jesuit university. So the Black Pope and the Jesuits got a hold of what goes on in America in Boston, so they can teach these priests, the true ways of how things are done. He graduates Boston College, right? In 1916, he was in Boston College. Now, look, he was the associated editor of a magazine called Stylus. Okay, right? Enters. Here's another picture of him. They call him the prophet. I'm gonna show you why. They call him the prophet. Right? He enters St. John's Seminary, graduates, completes 5 years of his priesthood, then becomes a member of the Holy Cross, where he's ordained in 1921. Right? He devotes, at least let's say, devotes a lot of time with this church doing the works. Now, later on, and okay, before I go into what he did, okay, let's take a look. This man has been with the church for, it says now, from 1921 for 12 years. He's seen some stories, he's heard some things about priests that have abnormal behavior. Like, how like they say word of mouth travels faster than anything. And so, as a child, he's probably heard some things. He's probably seen some children go to the wayside because of something happening. So now look at this. Right? During his tenure here, right? Fitzgerald has a vision. I like the words that they were using, right? He has a vision, right? So Fitzgerald writes a letter to all the bishops in the United States about his vision. His vision was a retreat. Listen to this. His vision was a retreat for troubled priests. Okay? No one responds to his vision. Right? He's writing letters, he's good at writing. So he writes all these letters, right? And there was only one priest that saw his vision for a retreat for, let's say, priests that were into alcoholism or substance abuse. And this priest that you see, well, actually, his archbishop, his name was Edwin Bynum, right? He sees the vision of Fitzgerald, right? To start a retreat now. Look, guys. To start a retreat to rehabilitate priests that were, let's say, because this was the vision, what was said, that was into alcoholism or substance abuse, right? So the archbishop you see on the screen, Edwin, sees the vision and sponsors Fitzgerald for this retreat. They buy 2,000 acres, and I think it's called Yemes Spring, New Mexico, in 1947, right? Here's a picture, like 2,000 acres, okay? Here's a picture of the retreat now, right? It's in the desert, in the middle of nowhere, okay? The retreat was called the Congregation of Servant Paraclete, right? That really doesn't matter, right? But really, the goal was he's already identified, him having this vision, he's already identified all of the weirdness from the priest and the priesthood that has been going on. Okay, so now look, check this out, Bro.Nasir. Look, this starts to get really good. Okay, now at first, the retreat was only taking priests that suffered from alcohol abuse and substance abuse, trying to rehabilitate them. Fitzgerald approach was spiritual healing, non-clinical. I want to emphasize what he was trying to do, non-clinical. This was interesting what Fitzgerald said next. He believed and strongly opposed. Look, he believed and strongly opposed of psychiatric and psychological treatment. Okay, this is in 47. Okay, he's saying this, that to go pharmaceutical, that's not the way to go. He says that the spiritual healing, right? He says healing can only come through the Holy Spirit, not through medical or psychological inventions. Now, what were these spiritual practices that Fitzgerald was using at this retreat here, right? So he would say one of the rehabilitation for alcohol and substance abuse, he said, 1, silent prayer for extended time. Okay. Then he said daily mass, confession, strict sacraments, which is a structured prayer schedule, and spiritual reading of the Bible. Okay. Fitzgerald believed that the sacraments themselves were the medicine, because this retreat is in the middle of nowhere. Okay. Now, he also said isolation from the ministry and the outside world. So at this retreat, here, right, it's an old school picture of it. Well, that's the new one. At this retreat called the Via Coeli, was in the desert, and this location was intentional to be in the desert, secluded, isolated. Fitzgerald believed silence and separation was necessary for healing. Number 4, manual labor. Fitzgerald required priests to engage in gardening, farming, physical maintenance, simple chores. Fitzgerald believed manual labor grounded the soul and restored discipline. I was just like, okay, all right, sounds good,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Right, it sounds good.
Sounds
Now,
good.
right, it sounds good. Now, Fitzgerald considered his retreat as a spiritual sanctuary, silence, fasting, rosary, spiritual reading, community prayers in the process for priests, not psychiatric, psychological, or he was against Alcohol Anonymous too. He said that this spiritual healing should help, heal priests. Now, this is where things get really, really interesting at this retreat here. Now, after a couple of years go by, you see how the retreat is helping, a good amount of these priests, as they say, get off the alcohol and the substances, right? This is where now, probably after it opens, let's give or take, let's say 3-4 years later, Fitzgerald now starts. Let me go to this one. Starts opening the door for priests that are Pillowpedia abusers. Okay, just to protect your channel, right? Right, Pillowpedia. Everyone should know exactly what I'm getting at. Now this is crazy. Now look, using the same methods, right? Fitzgerald thought, hey, look, to protect. Look, he's protecting the priesthood here, right?
It's always a retreat, brother.
Right, that's always a retreat.
It's always
right?
a retreat, brother.
Now, using the same methods with Pillowpedia priest, Fitzgerald has a very poor success rate with Pillopedia priest. It was so bad, right? I said, I guess in later years that Fitzgerald actually wrote a policy for his retreat to refuse. Right? He refused taking priests that are attracted to young boys. What do you know? Look, this man knows something. Okay? He's heard the stories. He's been on the inside, right?
Brother.
Yes.
1 second, brother. You mentioned retreat.
Yes.
A few times. And I'm thinking the preface re and treat.
Yes.
And they are treating themselves repetitively.
Yes.
In their behavior when they go on these retreats. It's always a retreat.
Right.
And look,
absolutely. And here's one thing. And there's one thing I didn't mention in the beginning that I should have mentioned, with a lot of these Catholic priests here. They are not to marry and have children or have any, they're supposed to be practicing celibacy to the max to show their devotion to the divine. And when I heard that rule, Brother Nasir, automatically I thought, you're going against nature's order. Maybe if some of your priests would have children, that should help the priest to not do certain things, as we're going to touch on now.
First and foremost, brother, have a woman. Have a woman, bro.
Right.
They should have a woman, brother.
Yes. Like, this is the whole thing.
The children come through.
Yes.
You have a woman. I mean, you're here and you came through a woman, so that's the nature. That's nature, bro.
It's nature.
I don't understand how could going against nature be the equivalent of godliness. I don't understand that, bro.
Right. Now, if anything, Brother Nasir, right, I do understand, okay, with celibacy, okay? Now, celibacy should be only done like, you can do it like fasting. Okay, so you're not going to bump and grind. Let's say there should be a law from, okay, for the Catholic priests, okay, from January to April, you're not going to do the bump and grind. And then after that, you're good.
Or you're celibate until you get a wife.
Right.
I can understand that too.
I can understand that.
But I can't understand celibacy like forever. That's the rules. Nah.
No, like, how does you? It's almost like, how don't you want your bloodline to carry on?
And not only that, brother, you cannot call yourself father if you're going to not have children in this world. You're going to call yourself father. Are you father?
You crazy? That's a really good point. Now, right, we're going to continue on, right? If Brother Nasir, feel free at any time, okay? At any time to plug in. All right, so Fitzgerald, even though that he said that the priest, he's not accepting priests that were attracted to young boys. And in my mind, okay, would you accept Pillopedia priests that were abusing little girls too? I don't know. That was my personal opinion. Like, it didn't it didn't go into the girl aspect of it. So I don't know. So from check this out, 1953 to 1957, Brother Nasir, Fitzgerald would write letters again to all of the United States archbishops, right? Especially anyone that sent any priest to his retreat. Fitzgerald wrote, well, let's see if I got it. Okay, this is the other one. Okay. Fitzgerald wrote to all of these priests and archbishops. He said, the experience has taught us that these men are too dangerous to the children of the parish and the neighborhood for us to be justified in receiving them here. I'm gonna read that again, because he's saying something, right? Like he's trying to protect. Like, this is where I'm looking at Fitzgerald like, hey man, you're doing some good stuff, but it seems like you're protecting your priesthood and brotherhood at the same time. Experience has taught us that these men are too dangerous to the children, right, of the parish and neighborhood for us to be justified in receiving them here. Fitzgerald has also recognized the major issue that priests with abnormal sexual behavior can't be healed. I'm going to say this again, right? Because he said this in 53 to 57. Okay, right? He's letting this be known, right? Fitzgerald has recognized the major issue that priests with abnormal sexual behavior cannot be healed, and it will continue if something isn't done. Okay, now Fitzgerald's stance on these abnormal behaviors from priests, right? His stance was to defroct and to laicide. Now, these two words, defroct and laicide, okay? All this means, guys, when someone gets defrocked, right, from when the Vatican deems you, okay, defroct, let's defroct him. All that means, if someone is defrocked, it means that the priest is losing the uniform and just fired from the job. That's it. Okay? Nothing really happens to this guy. But if you're laicide, not only do you lose the uniform, but you're stripped from the profession itself. It sounds the same, but I guess it's different in a way. Yeah. Now, the warnings to all of these United States archbishops started to make some noise, okay, right? Because he's calling out the behavior. And I'm going to tell you, because this is why I started at 1950, right? Because it's very significant, as we'll continue on, right? So all the warnings to all the bishops in the United States began to make some noise since Fitzgerald retreat denied Pillowpedia priest, right? Later on, the Vatican gets a wind of this, right? And this Pope here, right? I guess this is Pope Paul VI, right? And I think in August now in 1963, decides to meet with Fitzgerald about his work. Now, let's just look at this image here. Now, I'm not quite sure, Brother Nasir, if you know the Time magazine symbolism here. Now, with this Pope here, do you see this M that's on top of his head?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this M is signifying that he is very high ranking in whatever priesthood, brotherhood that they're a part of. Remember, everything is they've got the face value, and then they've got the Black Pope and their hierarchy. So this Pope here is showing you on the Time magazine, which they love doing, right? They speak in this coded language, right? And I'm gonna show you something here
You
that
have to be in order to do what you're doing now. You have to be symbol literate.
right,
You have to be symbol
right.
literate to look at that stuff and see what it is.
Now look, and I'm gonna show you the ranking of this, okay? Right? Let's just go through the ranking. This is saying he's high level on whatever, because remember we figured out like, oh, so you went to a Jesuit school. Oh, okay. You
He
might
got
be more
horns on his head too, brother. I see
right.
horns.
Look, because I'm gonna show you, right? This
Yes,
is
sir.
symbolizing he's high ranking now. Whatever order they have, he's high ranking on the board. He's high ranking on the board. And everyone knows, Elon Musk is, if you just take a look at the mother, that should tell you everything about who this person really is about, right? Let's go to another. He's high ranking here. Okay. Like this is, I don't trust none of these dudes, right? Not, I really don't, especially King Charles. No. The man who will be king waited 70 something years. Now watch this, guys. Okay, watch this. Now you see the horns. Now you see how he doesn't have the big M? He's got the horns, which means that he's underneath the ones with the big M, right? So this is the Time magazine, the horns, you're part of the order, right? Letting it be known that you're part of the order. 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 And this lady, right? I'm just showing you. And Jay Leno, okay? Just letting you know, part of the order. And everyone knows that, with Jay Leno, he had the black eye. So that was the sidebar, right, for that.
Yes,
so
sir.
Now, okay, so Pope meets up with Fitzgerald. And after the meeting with the Pope, okay, Fitzgerald writes a follow-up letter reinforcing his stance here, Bro.Nasir. Okay? Fritz writes back to the Pope after the Pope leaves and all of that. Fitzgerald said, personally, I'm not optimistic of the return of priests to active duty who have been addicted to abnormal practices, especially sins with the young. Okay? However, the needs of the church must be taken into consideration, and the activation of priests who have seemingly recovered in this field may be considered. Okay? Anyone that seemingly recovered from, what did he say? Sins with the young, right? But he said in this field may be considered, but it's only recommended where careful guidance and supervision is possible. If not, if we can't do that, I recommend totalization, like completely take his uniform, strip his profession, get him out of here. Now, look, I find this letter that he wrote back to the Vatican. And what year was this? In 63, as the follow-up letter. This man is fully aware of what exactly is going on with all of the Catholic priests all over the United States and this abnormal behavior. But instead, look, and he's saving the brotherhood. Instead of sending them to jail, he just wants them to strip them of the uniform, strip them from the title and the profession itself. And see, that's where I'm looking at Fitzgerald. You're trying to do good, but at the same time, you're protecting your brotherhood at the same time, where these priests with abnormal behavior who you accepted into your retreat and you have come to the conclusion that there is no remedy, there is no curing for this abnormal behavior, instead of sending these cats to jail, you just want to take them out of the profession itself. And I find that really weird. Okay, as we see later with these warning signs that Fitzgerald was saying, right, was ignored by the Vatican and every archbishop all around the world. Now, Fitz comes up, right, later on in his years. Okay, so he's up there in these years here. Fitz comes up with another solution for Pillopedia priest. Fitz, listen to this madness. Fitz wants a remote Caribbean island secluded from the rest for the rest of their lives. Fitz wanted to save the church from scandals and people from being victimized. His vision for this retreat now, right?
There you go. Now think about
there's that word again. Now he wants a Caribbean island. All right. He wants a Caribbean island, secluded, great weather, right? Suitable homing facilities, isolated, but you're going to live grand. Like, who wouldn't want to do this? Which priest wouldn't want a secluded, remote Caribbean island? Right? So now his vision for this retreat didn't work due to the death of Archbishop Edwin Byrne in 1963. But the successor of Edwin was is it this guy here? Yeah, it was this guy here, James Peter Davis, who opposed the vision and the project for isolating priests who are Pillowpedias. Totally against it. This guy was totally against it. He said, no, we shouldn't do that. And I totally agree with this bishop here, James Davis, on this one. Isolating priests for bad, abnormal, sick behavior shouldn't be the punishment for priests that are supposed to be men of the faith. If anything, the punishment should be double or triple, because you are men of the faith. In my book of life, anyone that claims they're closer to God, right, and makes such a devilish mistake repeatedly should be judged by the highest courts of the law. Period.
Brother, if a person is doing that so much repetitively, that's not a mistake. That's them. That's who they are.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not a mistake if you're doing it so much. That's who that person is.
Facts.
And I'm for them being on an isolated island, absent the children, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course.
You know what I'm saying? If they want to go somewhere isolated, because if they're going to be, they want to behave like that, they shouldn't be in a civilized society. They should be in their own society, away from a civilized society. So I don't mind them being on an isolated island, but absent anybody they can abuse.
Now look, Brother Nasir. I mean, especially when because Fitzgerald, he knows exactly what's going on, right? And he's saying that for me, isolating, no.
The other guy named was Fitz, right? The other guy named was Fitz. You were just talking about
Fitzgerald, yeah, the guy who comes out of the Holy Cross.
You had another guy up there. His name was Fitz.
No, this guy. There was an archbishop named Edwin, and this is Edwin's successor, as you're seeing on the screen. and this guy, his name's James Davis.
No, I'm talking about the guy you were speaking about right before you went to Davis.
Oh yeah, it's Fitzgerald. His name's Fitzgerald. Gerald
Okay.
Fitzgerald. That's his
Gerald
name. Gerald
Fitzgerald. I thought it
Yeah.
was Fitz. I'm about to say he didn't get no Gerald. You know. I'm about to say he didn't even earn his Gerald.
Right. And look, and the reason why I'm going over Fitzgerald here, right? This is I'm covering something here, letting you know about this guy's life, right? That he's warning everyone what's going on. Like he's basically saying, listen, you can't hide this for too much longer. Okay? Like I can accept in my retreats, because he ended up building 4 more retreats. One was in England, there was another one in St. Louis, and he built another one in New Mexico somewhere. Right? Okay. Right? He's really putting in the work. But he can heal the alcoholism and anyone that's on the substances. But he states that there's no curing Pillopedia priest. So he's letting it be known, and he's saying he's against psychiatric, and psychology treatment, physiology treatment. Like no, he's like basically those prescription drugs are not going to heal this at all. You've got to do this manually. Okay, so what ends up happening? Now check this out. Right, what ends up happening now, right, in 1969, Fitzgerald passes away of congestive heart failure. Right now, as I was reading these articles, right now, look, check this out. What I end up reading, and I wrote this one down. It said, Fitz passed away serving as a traveling retreat master. This word, Bro.Nasir, traveling. You know how like they say he's a traveling man, but
Yes,
this
sir.
one is traveling retreat master. So my headlights went off. You know what I'm saying? This let me know not only is Fitzgerald a priest, but he's also a Mason. And I thought that was very interesting. Like this is why you're coming up with all of these solutions instead of people, instead of like you said, retreating, getting away. Let's take matters in our own hands because we are part of the brotherhood. No, go to jail, sit down, right? Yeah. And when you sit down, if someone hears you, especially if any brothers in there hear that you are doing this, well, stuff happens, right? So let's say this is really what he wanted for his fellow brethrens. Fitz developed these retreats all across the world, like I said. Okay, so now we cover. So that was that part. Okay. Now let me give you some numbers. Okay, this is the John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York. All right.
I went there.
Oh, you went there?
Yeah.
Wow.
I went there.
Wait, is this how it looks too here?
Yeah, that's down in the Avenue of Americas. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go into our first stat, guys. Okay, let's go into our first stat. All right, so this comes out of John Jay, right? So now look at the numbers. John Jay does their investigation and reporting from 1950 to 2002. Okay, here are the numbers: 4,392 priests. Within these years, 4,392 priests and deacons accused of abusing 10,667 minors. Now, let me look. Let me add this. Okay, this number that I'm giving you is the ones that were reported. In the 50s, there were so many that were unreported. They weren't saving any documentation in the 50s and beyond that. So there was no record of what these priests were really actually doing. Now, this number that I said, the 10,000, this is so ridiculous, right? Right now, with the ones that are not recorded, you might as well multiply the priest by 2, and then the minors by 3, which comes out to 8,784 priests and 32,001 minors, just from 1950 to 2002. Okay, right?
That's insane.
I don't want to
brother.
lose anyone here.
That's insane.
It's insane, right? And I don't want to lose anyone here. I'm right, because who you're looking at the screen right here is the archbishop that took this job in 1984. Okay, right? This is just the archbishop here. And look, really, really briefly, okay? Briefly here. Born in November 4th, 1931 in Mexico. Son of an Air Force officer. Okay? Right? Since his family moved around, being the only child, his upbringing was well diverse. Graduates, listen here, graduates from Harvard in 1953, earning a degree in medieval history. And during this time, there was a controversy going on in 53. Father Freeney, I don't know, a Jesuit priest who was basically screaming, if you're not Catholic, that's it, right? This is him in his younger days, right? Now, I found this interesting, what I'm about to say here. Now, he goes through the ranks. He goes this Archbishop Law, right? Who gets his thing in 84 here. He was for civil rights during this time, right? So now look. I'm gonna read this to you, okay? Now, this position, Bernard Law, who's the third one in this picture here, basically was a strong public voice on civil rights and social issues. What were the civil rights issues that this man was mentioning about? Number one, racial equality and desegregation. He advocated for equal treatment of Black American schools, housing, and public life. Sounds good, right?
Sounds good.
Right? Look, but after when I was reading on this, but there is no documentation of any programs funding Black American schools or housing. Look, listen, you can talk about all the issues now and back then, but if you don't put your money where your mouth is, it means nothing to me. With all the gold and money that the Catholic Church has obtained over the centuries, all that talk and stances people take, rather have, to me, I don't give a damn. I don't really give a damn, because public statements mean nothing. All of the talk means nothing. I would rather have a person that doesn't mention anything, doesn't talk, but puts in actions.
Absolutely.
Now this is a picture of him because the scandal that was going on. Remember, this guy became an archbishop in 1983, 84. He took over another guy named Hector something, right? And look, all of the stuff that was going on. And when I say the cover-ups, okay? Remember now, John Jay gave us that stat with how many priests. And so the cover-ups from this man, what ended up happening, instead of him going to jail, right? It's just like, you know how they do police officers, they relocate them. Right. What they did with this guy, they sent Archbishop Law, this guy you see on the left, to Rome. Okay, because what's going to happen here, right? Look, let me get into this, right? Because, right, Brother Nasir, that stat that John Jay gave, we're just going to highlight one of them. Okay, just one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This man here. This is a picture of John Gagan. Okay. Now here's a really good picture of him here, right? Now, when you look at this man,
looks like Gilbert Gottfried, the comedian.
Yeah, look. Look. This man here that you're looking on the screen here, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Right. That smile, them glasses, he got the hair done right. Right. You are looking at an American serial rapist. Right. This is how they look. And I would have never thought, just looking at this guy, like, really? Now, this priest you're looking on the screen here is the worst that you will ever see. Okay, he went, Brother Nasir, he went on a 30-year run. Okay, and there was another priest that went on a 30-year run, and we're not going to talk about him. We're going to stay on this guy right here, John Gagan. Okay? Okay, so let's a brief rundown. All right? So here's his upbringing, right? Because like I said, he went on a 30-year run. Let's see, John Gagan loses his father at 5 years old, raised by his uncle, who was a Catholic priest. Okay, attends what is this? Cardinal O'Connell, right? 2 years there, and then he does 2 years at St. John. Okay, right? He graduates, he does this and does that. Now, on that first school I just showed you here, O'Connell. Okay, like you start here in O'Connell, and then he did his 2 years there, and then now you go to the major part. You go to St. John. Now, after 2 years at the O'Connell school, a person by the name of, I couldn't get his picture, but right, this guy's name was Father John Murray, wrote to St. John's Thomas Riley. Do I got a picture of Thomas? No, I don't. Right? Wrote to Thomas Riley at St. John's here and said this about John Gagan. He said, John Gagan has given the faculty of this seminary cause for concern in the past 2 years with Gagan's feminine in his manner, speech, and approach. Scholastically, yeah, look, scholastically, he is a problem. Okay, this is one of the this is John Murray, a father there, or one of the preachers here that's telling someone at St. John's that this guy's a problem. Okay, too feminine.
Yeah.
Right. So later,
Wow.
Gagin gets ordained in 1962. So out the gate, the warning signs were all there. In the article I read, it said that, look, listen to this. In the article, it said that Gagin would seek out vulnerable children who, like himself, that have no father. Gagin inserted himself into troubled homes as a helpful father, taking. Let's go back. Let's look. Let me show you. Let me show you.
That's predatory, bro. That is just straight up predatory.
This guy. This is this guy right here on the screen, right? So for look, he would enter troubled homes as a helpful father, taking young boys on outings, washing them, putting them to bed, right, and easing the burden of a stressed single mother. Gagin avoided contact with girls, but he compulsively fondled and performed oral sex on boys whose number exceeds, on his 30-year run, exceeds 130.
That's ridiculous.
Now that number, 130, that's the ones that were reported. We're not talking about the ones that he's not reporting on. All right, because there's the scandal that happens. All right. So, as I said, he was ordained in 62. His first assignment was this place here. Okay. This one is called the Blessed Sacrament Parish, right? At this parish here, at this church, let me tell you what his occupation is, if I can find it. All right, so he gets ordained and he goes to this parish here. His job description is a associate pastor, okay, which entitles youth programs, altar service training and supervision, home visits to parishes, families. Anyone coming to this parish or the church, he can come to your house, sacramental preparation, and daily routines where children are present. Okay, so this is his first assignment. All right, so this happened in 62. Over the course of 2.5 years, 4 boys were victimized. Gagin admitted, but he admitted these, but there were more. A fellow priest by the name of Anthony Bevich or something like that. Anthony Bevich said that he reported seeing boys being brought to Gagin's bedroom. Now, this person here, Anthony Benovich, the priest here, later on, okay, this gets good. Later on, during the trials, right? Because this is a 30-year run here. During the trials, he would deny making that report.
Wow.
Overall, right? Now, here he goes. So he gets in trouble now. Gagin gets in trouble, right? People are complaining. And so what did they do? Relocate him. right, to his second assignment, right? Look, his second assignment, Saint Bernard Concord. Now, he only stayed here at this parish, same occupation. He's the associate pastor. Okay, so he's still around children, and he's looking for damaged single mother homes. And in this parish here, this is the shortest stay. He only stays here for 7 months. Okay. The church gave no explanation on his quick departure, right? The unexplained transfer fits a broader pattern on moving him quietly. This means that this place in 7 months, more victims, basically undocumented. All right. So now they relocate him again. All right. I think this is, what is this? St. Paul's. Right. All right. So in his third assignment, let me just double check here. Yeah. Okay. For his third assignment. Okay. For his third assignment, this is where Gagan goes out of control. There are pending lawsuits from the previous parishes he was at, right? Again, abusing several more families. Okay. There's the talk of, there's a person named Anthony Musi Jr. said that his uncle caught Gagan touching on his son. Okay, so now look here, look. Now, right after this incident, Gagan checks into a treatment center, and I think this is the treatment center you're seeing on the screen. This is a Seton Institute in Baltimore. Now, look, while in treatment now, and remember what Fitzgerald said: psychiatric, psychology, treatment, and other medicine. It doesn't cure. It doesn't work. He said this. Fitzgerald said this in the 60s. Okay, it doesn't work. So now, what year was this? I don't even have the year that he checked into this institute, right? But while he was checked into this institute, Gagan finds another victim, y'all. Okay, right? Finds another victim, befriending a single mother named Joanne Muller, who had 4 boys.
What's crazy about that, brother, is you got Hillary Clinton calling us super predators, and look what was around her.
Right. Right. And all the code words that are being said.
Yes, sir.
Now, as you can see, this is just a picture that I found to represent her 4 children.
You're doing impeccable, brother. I understand what you're doing. Impeccable, brother. Impeccable.
Right. So here is the befriending of the single mother, Joanne Muller, who had 4 boys. He became a regular visitor at Joanne's home, whose boys aged from, the range was from 5 to 12. Look, one night, one of Joanne's sons insisted to keep Gagan away from him. The boy said, "I don't want him doing that to my wee-wee."
Wow.
This is what the child said to the mother, because she's not, she's going to the church, right? And seeing, like she might need help. And so here's Gagan offering his assistance with that look he's got, right?
Yeah.
That mask he's wearing, totally a predator, totally a savage. When I say a savage, he's a savage, right?
Sir.
Right. So the kid says, "I don't want him doing that to my wee-wee." Okay. Gagan would take the kids for ice cream, bathing them, reading bedtime stories. then raping them orally and anally.
Crazy,
Gagan
bro.
insisted. Look, this is a 30-year run out of the 4,700 and whatever number that the John Jay came up with. This is just one that went on a 30-year run. There was another guy during the same time that went on this 30-year run.
I'm
Look,
sure there was several, brother. I'm sure there was several, brother.
there's several,
I'm absolutely
right?
sure there was several.
Okay, so look, check this out. Right? So as Gagan is doing all of this, Gagan insisted to the boys, tell no one. This man is beyond sick. Now look, Joanne Muller, the mom, takes her boys to see Reverend. Gets crazy. Takes the boys to see. She goes to see another Reverend named Paul Maselli. I think it's Maselli, right? Paul Maselli, a parish in St. Mary's Melrose. It's this guy, right? This is Maselli, right? So Joanne goes to this guy, right? To state, hey man, this is what my son, this is what this guy is doing, right? Now, during this all comes out, right? Because during the testimony, right, Joanne testifies, right, during that court case, Joanne testifies that Maselli assured her that Gagan will be handled by appropriate church authorities and would never be a priest again. Maselli also told Joanne, look at this guy here. Maselli also told Joanne to keep this matter to herself. Right? Now, look, no police are called. No people of the law, authorities are called when a child says he doesn't want someone doing this to his wee-wee.
They never
this
do.
guy,
They always,
and this guy
they
right
always
here,
handle that, and they always handle that type of thing in the internal, and they end up transferring.
Right.
Like they do with the police department, bro. They don't decertify them. They just transfer them so he can do the same thing to other children wherever he goes. Like, I mean, you're giving a history absolutely perfect, and it's just crazy, brother.
This is loony, but it's okay. So for I use a football analogy here, right? Like if my coaching staff, if we're messed up, what do you think down below is going to be with the children? They're going to be messed up. So they're going to copy and mimic everything that we're doing, right? And so if we're not in order, the children are not going to be in order. So when I'm looking at this whole Catholic priest, the godfather of the world here, that everyone has to kiss the ring. So internally, you are messed up, which trickles down into people like Gagan. And Gagan think that this is okay to do this. And then you have people like this guy here on the screen that is going to protect Gagan.
That's like order out of chaos, brother. Because even though it's disorder, it's the order. You know what I'm saying? Because nobody correct the behavior. Nobody corrects it. They're complacent to it, and they just basically cover it up.
Yeah.
They cover it up.
Yeah. They sweep it under the rug like
that's exactly what it is. If nobody's going to jail, if nobody's being held accountable for these transgressions against so many children, that's a cover up. You can't call it nothing besides a cover up, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. and you know, I look at these rules, like I said before, how you not letting these people have like these pastors and priests, you know, have a wife and some children. Like
Yeah, that's
that
the
law
crazy part
alone,
right there, brother. That law alone, brother, is just unnatural.
it's
It's
just you're
unnatural.
going against the grain.
That is
You know,
very
like you're
unnatural
actually saying
to tell a
very,
man
very.
that he can't have a woman and that's what makes him pure. Are you serious? I don't want to be
Crazy.
pure. I don't want to be pure then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, as a man, I wouldn't want to be nowhere where there's no women.
I heard that. I heard
I
that.
just wouldn't.
I heard that. Straight up. All right, so now look, Brother Nasir, look at this. Now remember, okay, remember the Archbishop Bernard Law, the guy who
Yeah,
graduated from
yeah,
Harvard,
yes,
right?
sir.
Okay. So look, check this out. Now check this out. Now with Maselli here, this guy on the screen, he becomes a member of Bernard Law's cabinet. And during the trial, right? Because everything blew up, right? During the trial, this guy here contradicted Joanne's deposition. Maselli says, right, that Maselli says Maselli does not recall the name and never received a visit from Joanne at all. Look, Maselli does state he remembers receiving a call from a woman saying Gagan was spending too much time with her children, right? But check this out. This even gets wilder. Maselli testifies that the caller, Joanne, right? Joanne Muller, who he doesn't remember, said nothing about any sexual abuse. Maselli states that look, Maselli states, look, in his deposition, when everything went to, and everyone had to go to court, right? Maselli states that he drove to Gagan's new parish in Jamaica Plain to relay the woman's concern to Gagan's face-to-face. Like, what the hell does that do? You didn't even probably see Gagan face-to-face at all. You probably said nothing.
That's crazy.
Nothing to the man. Okay? All right, so here's his fourth assignment. Okay? He gets taken to this place. This is St. Andrews, right? And now, what is her name? Moretta Desor. If I'm saying that right, right? Who was next on Gagan's victims? Okay, she was next. Now, this year, now the year is he started in this parish here. I'm gonna put on the screen, but this parish or church here, it's 1974 now to 1980. Right, he worked there. What's that? 6 years. So the next victim was Marietta DeSword, who had 3 boys and 1 girl. And Marietta, this lady here, was taking care of her nieces' 4 boys. Living in the projects. Look. Living in the projects. Basically, she hoped there was a priest that the children could look up to. That's when she met Gagan, whose job at the parish was to oversee altar boys, Boy Scouts, blah, 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 right? Do you see why, guys? Do you see why I call this place, the core, a demonic stronghold, allowing this priest, knowing his history, to continue fondling more children and having to relocate him, giving him the same job.
Brother, that gives a new meaning to altar boy.
God.
Because they damn sure was altering the boys, making them trying to make them other than what they are. That's just madness, brother.
It's madness, right? So here we go. Gagan now, look, he's eager to help Marietta, this lady on the screen. Before you even know it, guys, Gagan was visiting every evening for 2 years. Same play. Okay.
Oh, he's a steadfast demon, huh?
Oh man, this dude, look, I tell you, man, it's diabolical. Okay, look what he does. Look what he does. Same play now. He takes the children out for ice cream, puts them to bed. There's the 4. That's Marietta's nieces. Couldn't find them. There was no real pictures due to the case, so we'll use here. Take the children out for ice cream, put them to bed, takes down all 7 boys, performs oral sex on them, plays with their genitalia while they played with his during prayer moment. Guys.
Wow. Prayer, huh? He was praying on them, not praying for
He was
them.
praying, and then while they're praying, he's got them, touching here. He's touching there. I mean, look, I'm leaving the details out because honestly, guys, I had to stop reading for a minute, right? And I did a look. I went spiritual. Look, I went to the park to ground myself. I even went on a rant when I was talking to Key on the phone. Like I lost it. Like I got into explaining what's going on, and I went on a 5-minute rant. And shouts out to Key for to hearing that rant out. I was really, really bothered by some of the tactics Gagan was doing.
Yeah, that's terrible, brother.
Right. So he takes all of them down. So now here's what Marietta does. Right. This is where things get deep again. Marietta figures out what's going on. Right. Like she's thinking that I can relinquish, to the priest. And she doesn't know. Don Gagan's face, as we saw before. Right. Mm-hmm. So she knows what's going on. Now she goes to this guy, right? Thomas, the pastor of St. Thomas somewhere, right? Now look, Thomas confronts Gagan with the allegations that Marietta is saying. Like, so John actually goes up, hey man, are you doing this to the children, yo? Look what Gagan says. Gagan casually admits that the allegations are accurate. And as John Thomas put it, it's almost as if Gagan had been asked if he preferred chocolate or vanilla ice cream.
Just that simple, huh?
That simple. Gagan, and it said Gagan also made an excuse by saying, it's only 2 families.
So, wow, that's bro, that's just disgusting, brother.
Right. So in 1994, the Archdiocese documented Gagan says that he admits to the activity, but does not feel it's serious or a pastoral problem. Okay, this is on his 4th. This was on his 4th assignment, and this
is a lot, brother.
I know. Look. See, that's a picture of him in court. Okay. All right. So, look, there's 2 more. Oh, sorry. There's 2 more assignments. Okay.
Crazy.
Right. That it's a lot. It's a lot. Let me skip forward. Right, it's a lot. Right, like I said, there's two more. I think this is St. Julie's Parish. Right, and this he stayed here from 1984 to 1993, and was it this guy? Okay, so this bishop, this was at his 6th assignment. This is his last assignment. This is his 30-year run. Okay, 6 locations. Now he's up to, like, he's already over 100 victims at this point. Okay.
Did they end up getting this dude?
Yeah, look. It gets good. It gets good. Okay, so this bishop, this bishop wrote the Cardinal Bernard Law, December 7th, that this guy warning in 1984, warning that reassigning Gagan to St. Julia's was dangerous due to the history of homosexual involvement with young boys, just like the previous cardinal, or Beto, whatever that is, was ignoring all the signs and allegations about Gagan, right? Cardinal Law, the guy that I showed you in 84, right? Because the archbishop before him, that was his name. What was his name? The Archbishop of Boston before him was Alberto Medeiros. Ignored all of these signs, right? Ignored all the letters, all the calls that Gagan is going on this 30-year run. And so this guy you see on the screen here, he writes to Mr. Law and says, hey, ignoring these signs that this guy's a predator, it's not going to look good for the church. So what Cardinal Law rejects this guy's claim and objects, and the reason why he rejects it, it said that the reason why the Archbishop Bernard Law rejects this guy you see on the screen's claim, because look, 2 doctors claimed from the Seton Institute that he was at that Gagan is cured and able to return to the ministry's work. Okay? This is why he rejects the claim. And that's
sickening, brother. That is sickening.
It's sickening. But remember what Fitzgerald said. Fitzgerald said, listen, there's no psychological treatment for any Pelopedic priest. There's no cure. That's very important.
He was right.
And he was right. He was telling them that in the 60s, okay? In the 40s and in the 50s. Right? So numerous complaints about Gagan continue during Gagan's last tenure. Same play. Gagan used looking for families that was broken, right? And in his last one, this one, I guess, this was part of the thing here. What you see on the screen here.
That dude basically preyed on the vulnerable, bro.
Yeah. And who you're seeing on the screen here, this guy's name is Patrick Misoli, a 12-year-old that lived in Hyde Park Projects. Gagan learned that this guy's father, when he was 12, he learned that his father committed, unalived himself. Yeah. Right? Knew the mother, knew that this guy's mother was schizophrenic, and offered assistance to buy Patrick ice cream. Okay. And let's see, explain the incident with the ending. Gagan was telling Patrick after all of his meetings with this 12-year-old boy, now he's somewhat of an adult, says that he told Patrick to keep this a secret. And Patrick said, we're very good at keeping secrets. He said that with an S. So this implies that there was more than one occasion this happened with this 12-year-old boy right here. Now, during the case, okay, because this case exploded in I think what year was that? Right, it exploded. Okay, this was the Boston scandal of the clergy. Right, you can look this up.
I think I remember that. I think I remember it.
Right, and so who you're seeing on the screen here, right? Let's see. There were 5 archbishops. There were 5 bishops who supervised Gagin over the years, have been accused of negligence in many of these civil suits for allegedly knowing of Gagin's abuse and doing nothing to stop it. It said never before has there been so many bishops that had to defend their role in a case involving fondling charges against the diocese. As you see here, this is Bishop. Check this out. This is wild. Look, Bishop Thomas Daly of Brooklyn here. This is Robert Banks of Green Bay. This is William Murphy Roxfield's William Murphy out of the Rockville Center in New York. This is John McCormick of Manchester. Manchester? Yeah, Manchester. I think that's New Hampshire, right? And this is an Archbishop Alfred C. Hughes of New Orleans. These guys all covered for Gagin. All these bishops that you just saw have been denied of all of the accusations in legal filing. So all of them protecting Gagin, all of them were denied. They got off. Now remember, while this is taking place, Brother Nasir, okay, of that Gagin going on his 30-year run, there was a similar scandal in 1992 called the Fall River Diocese, where a former priest by the name of James Porter went on his 30-year run, kind of the same time Gagin was doing his, and he was accused of abusing both boys and girls over in 5 different states. We're not going to get into him. Right. We're not going to get into him. This is
that's a whole lot.
Yeah.
I knew it would be this way because, with your extensive studying and research, that absolutely deserves applause, brother.
And if you like, hey, thank you, brother. Thank you. And if you like, look, we can pause there.
Yeah,
right?
we gonna come back, and I want you to continue where you left off.
Yeah, because this part right here, this is Gagin now in his elderly years, and we'll finish it off, right, with what happened, and then we can go into some of the Vatican more. It gets really deep how I finish this off.
Okay. Well, let's come back on Friday. And we're gonna leave. We're gonna start with right here.
Yeah.
And conclude. But stay in the studio when we end, because I got an assignment for you. You should have never let me. You should have never let me know that you can do this like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I want to ask you something, brother.
Okay.
So when we end the stream, brother, Stay in the studio. Don't go nowhere.
Yeah, I ain't going nowhere. Oh,
Right?
let me stop sharing. Look, I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm
Yes,
gonna
sir.
stop sharing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for coming through this evening and hanging out with myself and the brother T. Riggles. This was absolutely impeccable, brother. Your information was spot on point, and extensive. I really enjoyed it. It was dope, brother. I appreciate it. And based on the chat, they enjoyed the information also. So before we go, I want
Oh,
to
okay.
thank my
Shouts
brother
out to the chat.
Old
Thank
Dude,
you.
Jared Jaguar for coming through, and all those who came through. Old Dude and Jared Jaguar. Everybody didn't make a comment, but you know, more people showed up. I guess they just watched and enjoyed the information. Yeah, I mean, brother, I really appreciate this. Yeah, until next time, this is your brother Nasir with T. Riggles, and this is the Enemy's Public. Like,
Thank you for
share,
having me.
subscribe. Tell people about the stream. Tell them what a good job that the brother T. Riggles did. But until next time, peace. Don't go nowhere, brother.
Production. Giving out instruction. Hey. I just keep it intact, this is a fact, right and exact, I won't step back. Admiration is the feeling that inspires your brain to make you gain self-knowledge, not go insane.